this episode, we look at what we consider best practice anchoring. In over 20,000 nautical miles sailing around the world, we have not dragged anchor once, in all kinds of conditions, and depths down to 28 metres. And along our travels, we have seen some extremely poor anchoring practices, mainly boats who drop only enough anchor chain so that their anchor will just touch the seafloor. A good mate of ours, the very experienced Josh Tucker of the yacht Rogue, once dived on one of these yachts and their anchor was bouncing up and down off the seabed. The other bad practice is to drop the anchor with lots of chain but not pull back on the anchor to ensure that it digs into the seafloor. So let's look step by step at our anchoring technique. But before we begin, our anchor is a Rocna 33 kg. Test after test by the sailing magazines finds that the Rocna is one of the best all-round anchors for different seabeds, be it hard sand or mud. The first thing we do is find a sandy or muddy patch. We avoid rock at all costs and avoid seagrass because it provides poor hold, and we try and not disturb this precious ecosystem. Also, make sure you have enough depth at low tide and no rocky outcrops within your swing space. So Elle's going to head into the wind. She's going to tell Aiden the depth. At that depth, Aiden's going to yell it out because that's where Elle's going to place a mark on the chartplotter just so we know where the anchor is.
Mine says 7 metres deep, so when it says 7 metres here, I'm going to say 7. Tell me when to drop.
Four times 7, 28, 30.
The RYA recommends at least 4 times max depth, so you have to account for peak tide depth. This is for chain. For chain and rode, the RYA recommends 6 times. If we have enough swing room, we usually let out 5 times depth. If we have limited swing room, we occasionally have gone down to 3 times. But then we will still pull back hard to make sure the anchor is set in, and we will dive on the anchor to visually check it's set.
In the meantime, Elle is slowly reversing Tranquilo, just so the anchor and the chain gets laid out nicely.
30.1. 30.1.
The final task is to gently pull back and check that we're holding, and then maybe a little bit more rev up to 1300, something like that, because there's quite strong wind today. So first into tick over. Aiden tells me when the chain's stretched and pick a sight line, see if we're moving. We can also have a look here usefully. We've got speed over ground to say when it's 0 means we've stopped.
Okay. Stretched.
The last step is to pick a transit line on shore to make sure that we are holding and we're not moving back. So I'm going to pick one of the 2 scaffolding towers and the mountain behind to check that we are holding. And it looks like we're holding. The last thing to do is put on a snubber. What a snubber does is I attach it to the chain and it takes the pressure off the windlass. Right now the windlass is taking the full load of the chain, and second of all, it provides some give on the chain so that if the wind pulls us back, this is slightly more flexible than a chain, so it doesn't have as strong a pull on the anchor. Okay, let's put it on. Firstly, there's the hook that goes around the chain and the neoprene guard that I've sewn on so that the bits of metal don't smack into the side of the bow.
That was a stubby holder. Nice piece of repurposing.
Right, so that goes on the chain. I've put it over the main bow roller, and then okay, you can see I put a chafe guard on so that the chain doesn't chafe the 3-ply rope. I've also got a second
chafe guard for where the line goes over the sharp bits of the bow roller, and then do it up on the cleat. OXO. And then let the rope take the weight. There you go. You can see that the rope is taking the weight right up this end of the chain.
Nice work.
One thing about these very busy anchorages is that even though during the day they can be totally inundated with boats, by around this time, just as the sun is setting, all the day trippers, all the motorboats, tend to haul anchor and head home, so you can actually find your own space. So typically our strategy is, as we come in, we only lay out maybe 3 times scope anchor, and then when all the boats leave, we put out another 4th or even 5th scope. Sometimes even 6 if we've got the space, just so that we've got a nicely sound sleep without having to worry about dragging, etc.
We have used this very technique in all kinds of situations. It gives us peace of mind knowing that Tranquilo is safely anchored.
If you like this video, please click like below and subscribe to follow our adventures.